Ladies, gentlemen, and Roger of all ages, Season 10 is generally agreed upon to be one of the best ones we've had in a while. The Chaos Armor is fun, the Chaos Rifts are a good addition to multiple different activities, and the Chaos Perks have a large impact on builds, which is always nice to see. And when the game is fun, people want to play it more, and one of the main goals to achieve in any season would be Paragon level 300. Or maybe you're at Paragon 50 and just want to know the fastest ways to get to like 150 or 200, which is much more generally achievable. As to remind everyone, Paragon level 300 is an unbelievably high bar to set for yourself, as you essentially reach 50% of the total XP required at Paragon level 284, which is already a massive amount more XP required than you would need to get to 270 or 250, so on and so forth. It is an exponentially gaining system. But either way, regardless of your actual end goal, today we're going to talk about farming experience in the endgame and the best ways to do it. There are two main answers to this question, and mostly it just depends how strong you are. The absolute best way to farm experience in Diablo 4 is by just speed farming pit runs, but this only applies if you can do a pit tier 80 or above in around 90 seconds. This is, of course, an extremely high bar to set. It requires a very fast build and an already very high power level to achieve it, but once you are at that point, pits become the most efficient experience to time ratio, so if you're trying to hit 300 specifically, you will eventually just be farming those back to back. And while sometimes our other method will be able to beat it out, it requires getting good RNG rolls to get there. So the number one top method, if you are in the best builds you could possibly be in, is pits, with the caveat that that's only really true if you can do a tier 80 or above in 90 seconds or less. The other best method then is Infernal Hordes, and you will probably have noticed this already just while doing Hordes in general, because it is just sort of a main thing people are doing this season. You might see that it just shoots your XP bar up through a run just very quickly. The main source of experience in Infernal Hordes is pure monster killing experience. There are ways to push and maximize that even further with your choices within the activity to make it an even better experience farm than it is by default. First things first, the wave count, because the bulk of the XP gained from Hordes is from monster kills, not from the activity completion itself. The longer the activity goes, the more synergistic boons you can get to create more monster spawns of high XP value and the more overall XP to time ratio. So 10 wave Infernal Hordes are the ideal ones for this without a doubt. And just to really just nail that down, the reason why, wave 1 will have much less monsters and much less chaos than wave 10. So the more waves that go, the more things you can build and build on top of each other, the more spawns you can get, and by the time you get to wave 10, you're having a wave that gives you a ton of XP very, very quickly. As for what to do during the actual activity itself, you want to choose boons that focus on either elite monsters, Aether Fiends, Hellborn, or Aether Lords. Regular monsters are worth a small amount of experience when you kill them, but elite monsters and bosses are worth a fair chunk higher. If you get a good synergy rolling that can spawn like 50 Hellborn in a single wave in the later waves, that's a ton of experience. Same thing with Aether Fiends, Aether Lords, or even just general elites. To that end, things like the boon that increases event spawn rate in general will also significantly increase your experience gains, because it speeds up the actual events and so the spawn rate of the more rewarding enemies too. As per usual in Season 10, you will want to do the Chaos Waves whenever they are offered to you, especially because there are at least 3 of the Chaos Wave types that are fantastic experience, being the one that is just kill as many Aether Fiends as you can within the timer, the one that is kill as many Aether Lords as you can within the timer, and of course the crazy one that has all of the Aether Goblins running around that is just absolutely crazy for actual Aether generation, is also very solid experience per time ratio. There are some duds too among the Chaos Waves for sure, but as usual with the Chaos Waves, the benefit of the good ones outweighs the negatives of the bad ones, so I always advise taking a Chaos Wave if one is offered to you. That said, if your focus is on experience gain rather than Aether, it does change how you might make some decisions during the Hordes. For example, I gave you some things to focus on, but the difference is, for experience, you don't need like a full synergy so much as you need a lot of different spread out synergies. Your ideal run is not getting every single Aether Fiend related boon, because you don't care if they give more Aether, you just care if you can spawn more of them. You want to get as many varied kinds of spawning more enemies boons as you can. Hellborn, starting in Season 10, spawn as extra enemies on an event spawn if you get their correct boon, not as an event replacement. This means when Hellborn spawn, you basically double up on events. You get the normal event, which could be an Aether Fiend, but then you also get Hellborn on top of it. So even just that singular boon increases the technical elite spawn rate of the activity quite a bit. But then what if you are offered Aether Fiends spawning instead of regular elites? Absolutely, you should take that, because because that creates enemies that are worth more XP, even if it doesn't synergize with your Hellborn boon. Then maybe you're offered Aether Lords have a chance of spawning when an Aether Mass is defeated, and absolutely you should take that. And then if you get lucky, you'll also get Aether Fiend chance of spawning when a mass is defeated, and Hellborn chance of spawning when a mass is defeated, and then you can just build to spawn a bunch of extra masses at the start of a wave. You can create a load of bonus valuable XP pinata enemies right away, and by the time you've reached the 9th or 10th wave, if you focus on your boons this way, you can get some really crazy combinations that just generate so many elite or higher quality enemies as fast as you can kill them, and the amount of experience you can start gaining at that point is just absolutely immense. All that said, there are a few other things to consider too. First up, just for those looking for a bit more variety, Helltide with a focus on Chaos Rifts is not too bad experience this season by any means, not quite in the same realm as our first two options, but much better than Helltide itself has been in previous seasons, especially as some of the Chaos Rifts have bonus XP as the actual reward from them. On a similar note, the Nightmare Dungeons that have the Chaos Rift affix on them are also quite solid. It's still a step down from Infernal Hordes and high tier pit farming, but Chaos Rifts in general are great XP, and so any activity that can have them right now is much better than it has been without them in the past. And with those things covered, let's talk about how to just increase your experience gain rate in general, regardless of what you're doing in the game. The things that you want to do, regardless of what you actually choose to farm. First up then, joining groups with other players is an advantage to you. When you are near another player, you gain bonus experience from monster kills. If that player is in a group with you, this bonus is increased even further. In the pits, this isn't bad by any means, and if you are both in strong enough builds, you can actually split up and cover more ground in less time, killing the monsters faster, filling the timer faster, and getting to the boss quicker. And that does make pits more efficient overall. But in pits, the big experience gain comes from the activity completion at the end rather than from the monster kills themselves. And of course, it's harder to stay on top of another player in pits for that XP bonus to begin with. But where groups really can boost your speed up is in Infernal Hordes. In Hordes, it's a lot easier to achieve a power level that will make the farming of them quick, which means there's a larger amount of the player base to join together and play this activity without slowing each other down. This helps to begin with, but past that, when in groups, only one person needs to use a compass for 4 people to play the whole activity, which is already extremely efficient for something that is a limited resource activity. But then also the size of the room itself in the Infernal Hordes is small enough that you will almost always have the nearby grouped player bonus active for the extra monster kill XP, which is extra worth it for Infernal Hordes, as again, for Hordes, the bulk of the experience you get is from the monster kills themselves. In prior seasons, Infernal Hordes were viewed as a relatively good XP farming activity, but now in Season 10 they are even better just because of the way that the new boon choices work, and of course the Chaos Waves as well have a lot of potential for offering bonus experience. Past that, you want to always have an elixir active. Tier 1 elixirs give a smaller experience bonus for monster kills. Tier 2 elixirs give a larger bonus, so always try to have some sort of Tier 2 elixir active. As well, you want at least one incense active. Incense also gives an XP bonus for monster kills, but while you are able to have 3 different types of incense active at the same time, the experience bonus from these doesn't stack together, so having only one active is the same as having the full 3 active, at least as far as the experience buff is concerned. That's pretty much it then. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's even your guide to farming experience in the endgame of Diablo 4's Season 10, now that it's in full swing and people are pushing to try and find the limits of their power. I have been quite enjoying this season in comparison to the previous ones. I find the seasonal mechanics more interesting and the actual path to power more engaging too, and that just makes me want to play the game more than I have in recent times. What about yourselves? What are your thoughts on Season 10? What do you think? Like if you liked the video, subscribe with the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.